Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Gonna get you. The boogeyman is coming.
Starting over. Hello, boys and ghouls. It is your old pal Sick Part 2 here, joined by my good friend. I forgot what I called you last time.
My name is Slime Bixby.
Oh, there we go. That's cool. That's a cool one. And we are your ghouly gentlemen, here to discuss another horror film. What horrific monstrosity are we discussing today?
Hey, we've got a whole town with a few days to kill, so we got the Predator 2.
Nice. Oh, Predator 2. Yeah, this one was one that was kind of, recently on my mind because we did the Prey review a couple weeks back before Ghouly Gentlemen, which is fine. And it, I was like, the whole time I'm like, oh, fucking Predator 2 is such a good movie, and everyone shits on it. And Steve's like, fine, I'm gonna watch Predator 2. And then Steve watched Predator 2. He's like, holy shit, this is such a good fucking movie. Why does everyone shit on it?
Yeah, no, I'm very surprised, having watched this, I think twice now, why the fuck this is considered like a bad movie.
It's not just like the Predator fan base that considers it bad. Like, people just randomly dog on this fucking movie. It's so weird.
Did no one watch Danny Glover in this movie? This man is acting for his life.
Uh-huh. I don't know what it is, man. Like, I've even heard Arnold make fun of this fucking movie, of all people.
Arnold can't make fun of shit, man. Have you seen his filmography?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you seen his track record as governor of California?
Oof. Steve's getting political.
Wait. So before we deep dive into Predator 2 and talk about this intense concrete jungle of a buddy cop film where the Predator shows up, let me ask you a question real fast, because this you called it a horror movie, which you're right, it is. But something I found really interesting is a horror, more than any other genre, kind of feels like it consumes or gets subdivided into other genres a lot. Mm-hmm. So finding the line between a horror movie and a slasher and a thriller and a psychological thriller and a monster movie and a ghost movie, there's so many ways to kind of parse that out that you can get into a lot of weird discussions about what is and isn't a horror movie. I could see a case being made for The Black Phone isn't a horror movie, it's a psychological thriller or something like that. But Predator and Predator 2 fit into that camp of monster movies that aren't really horror movies, in the sense that I don't find them scary. I don't think they're designed to be scary, but they are monster movies. And something that I really appreciate about both Predator 2, Predators in general, and Prey this year is we just don't really make monster movies anymore. Where are all of the weird, fun, prosthetic, costume warping monster movies? Where did all that go?
I don't know. Probably down the drain once everything had to be CGI. Have you ever watched the behind the scenes for I think it's 2011 remake of The Thing?
I have not. No, I've actually never seen the 2011 remake / prequel to The Thing.
It's not I actually haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it all the way through either. I just kind of infamously know about it, wherein on set, they filmed and did just 100% practical, really good looking effects for that movie. And then when they got it into the editing booth, they just put CGI over every single practical effect. and like objectively the CGI looks worse. You know me, I'm the big CGI like proponent 99% of the time. This is like that 1% where I'm like, no guys, like not only did this practical effect look amazing already, you legitimately fucked it up by putting CGI over. And I'm not talking like like enhancing it with CGI. Like they straight up like they had this whole thing where there's this this whole like physical model of the thing mid transformation, and the guy's like wrestling with it on the ground, and just complete 100% replaced with the CG model, and it looks so much worse. It's not even funny.
I feel like there's just so much like fun to be had with prosthetics and stuff that I never really understand the appeal of like it can look better with CGI, because I never thought like that was the point. What was it called? Malignant from last year did most of that stuff using prosthetics. Like the whole like weird back of the head monster thing was on her head. They got like an actual like performer to have like that sort of backwards combat scene. Like all of that stuff, it seems less like does it look good versus does it look bad, and more just like isn't it cool that we have all of this shit to play with? Like the biggest problem I have with Sam Raimi's Drag Me to Hell, which is a pretty fun movie, is the practical effects that make the horror comedy genre work so well kind of need those. You can't just like CGI and expect the same kind of things to be funny, because part of the joke about shit like Evil Dead is that it does look bad. Like that's why it's funny, is that it looks like shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I think that like the best argument to be made in regards to this is, as far as like a still image just in the moment, a practical effect usually looks better. And it's not necessarily because practical effects are better, it's just once you've made the thing and it's there on set filming it, so much of your work is done by the fact that it is just in the same room, in the same lighting, yada yada yada. Whereas you can make the most highly detailed and like quote-unquote realistic looking CG model of all time, but you just don't do any light matching or camera angle matching and stuff, color grading, and put it in the scene, and it looks terrible just instantly. So CG has to work a lot on that end. The big advantage that CG has as far as monster movement or just creature movement, let's call it, on screen, is practical effects look great in camera until they start moving, and then they are excessively limited. Like excessively limited. You cannot do certain things. It's just nope. You have to hide the puppeteer, or the arm just can't move in this direction because of how it's put together, you know? Like, but that's a natural direction. It doesn't matter. You can't. The guys in Predator costumes, like, they have a hard time, like, putting their hands over their heads, because, like, all the padding and the stuff of the muscle suit starts to kind of, like, bunch up, right? And just think about, you know, putting on like a blazer and trying to raise your hands over your head. You can do it. It's not exactly the best thing for the blazer. Whereas a CG character, you can have perfect movement. You can do motion capture and get some really great fluid movement with that. And then you can, of course, go in after the fact and either adjust or just artistically puppeteer the character yourself and start getting, you know, really great fluid-looking stuff.
Yeah, and I guess with the world we live in now, where you have access to both really good puppeteering and makeup and effects work, and have access to a lot of great CGI potential, it seems like there should be like a little resurgence or a golden age of making these kinds of monster movies. But we just, as a genre, horror has kind of like teetered over into, not to use the word that everyone on film Twitter this week hates, but this sort of weird elevated horror thing where everything is psychological horror, everything is very artsy metaphoric horror, everything is like really subtle, don't really see the monster, there's not really a witch here, there's not really a nightmare
the
creature.
Witch.
It's like
What the
I
worst
like
fucking
Witch,
movie.
I think it's a really good movie.
I hate that fucking movie
like,
so much.
The Witch, Midsummer, Hereditary, It Follows. Like, it's not that there aren't creatures involved. It's that they're so much lesser to the story. And I don't know. I enjoy those movies. I think a lot of them are really really good. But there is also a part of me where it's like, bring back the creature from the Black Lagoon. Bring back the fucking predator jumping through the trees, chopping people's heads off. You know. Like I need again, this is why I think I like Malignant so much last year. Like this, it felt like a breath of fresh air to just get a stupid fun movie like that.
Yeah, I don't know. People just be going off and doing whatever with them. It's interesting to get like those more psychological and cerebral horror movies, but yeah, I don't know, man. I fucking love my schlock. You know, it's just schlock is just its own breed of greatness.
Which, and to be fair, I would not classify, I guess to bring us back around, I wouldn't classify Predator 2 as schlock, because I think it is legitimately a really self-aware and fun movie.
I mean, I think it's got a little bit of schlock to it, and it's just like good schlock though, right? Like there's like this is crap, like your grindhouse level schlock, and then there's all right, this is kind of schlocky, but it's all just hitting so well. So let's go ahead and talk like more specifics with Predator 2 then.
Yeah, no, I think the big thing about this movie that makes it work, that doesn't put it in the schlock camp 100%, is I think Danny Glover sells this movie more than anyone has ever sold a movie in their entire life.
Yeah.
Because I like the first Predator movie. I think it's a good movie. It's a lot of fun. I don't think Arnold is necessarily the linchpin in the success of that movie. I think you could have kind of just cast anyone in that role, and to some extent maybe even gotten a better performance out of it, because Arnold looks so imposing on his own that like having Arnold go up against the Predator doesn't really feel like a David versus Goliath situation. It just feels like Goliath versus Goliath. But with this, I feel like if you had someone who wasn't as animated, who wasn't like really trying to give a performance in the middle of this cartoony 80s buddy cop romp as much as Danny Glover was, and someone who wasn't already associated with that stuff because Danny Glover had done Lethal Weapon, it would not have worked as well. Because there's something about, and we talked about this in the Prey review, there's something like so perfect on a conceptual level to just have any genre whatsoever, and then the twist is that a fucking predator shows up, because that's just always cool and that's always fun to watch. So you get this very very basic 80s cop, except it's made in 1990 and it's set in 1997, which is really weird.
I mean, it's so funny how close to accurate their fucking depiction of LA in 1997 really was.
That's what I was reading online about, like how the subway and stuff that they pretend existed during the filming of this movie actually opened after this movie was started, after this movie came out. It's so fucking weird. But no, the movie opens with a very sort of like stereotypical buddy cop shootout scene, and he's running through rooftops, and you've seen Danny Glover do all of this shit before, and he was too old for it then and he felt too old for it now. And then you cut into the Predator, who doesn't actually show up in this movie like full scale until like 45-50 minutes in. And so you're really selling it on this romp of a buddy cop movie where the dude's just carrying the biggest fucking gun I've ever seen with a scope and like a little laser sight, which is just completely unreasonable to run around with.
Oh, it's just all the fucking like all the cops have like the crazy attachments on their guns. It's so funny.
They do, and they're all wearing blazers that are like 3 sizes too big for them, and there's like a heat wave, so everyone's got like the pit sweat and the back sweat. And the captain is like just the stereotypical asshole, and there's the whole jurisdiction turf war and the dick measuring contests inside, and like it's such a like schlocky buddy cop movie. And then the Predator just fucking shows up and it becomes an action movie against a predator. And I really appreciated that. I feel like there's a very easy way to like make a movie like this where the Predator feels out of place, or to make a movie like this where it's a Predator movie but the genre it's trying to ape doesn't really come through. Like this is the problem a lot of Marvel movies have, where they say they're blending a superhero movie with a different genre, but it's really just a superhero movie, and that other genre is kind of only there in lip service. And I don't think this movie does that at all. This really legitimately feels like it is a 80s buddies cop movie, and then a Predator shows up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely perfect. Like the Predator franchise is just it's an anthology series at this point. I'm like so happy because you look at its sister series, right, with Alien. And Alien for years like insisted on sticking with Sigourney Weaver, sticking with the character of Ripley and always bringing her back and always trying to find a new way to make it work with her. And the movies got worse and worse and worse the longer they did that. And then they finally broke from it, and it was just too late. And it didn't feel like Alien anymore, and it just also still wasn't very good. Whereas Predator, second movie, they tried to get Arnold back for a couple of years, but then they just gave up, and they're like, fuck it, we'll do it with Danny Glover. And like culturally, I guess it didn't work out for him, but like just as far as the piece itself, they made a great fucking movie out of it, and it's the best decision. And so far, the franchise has gone forward and only done well. As far as like, I don't know, it's weird to talk about because Predator 2 and Predators and The Predator have all kind of been like shat on at different points. Like I literally just a couple weeks ago I saw a meme about Predators being like a bad movie. Actually, it was a meme about Predators actually being a good movie. It was the one Joker meme where it's like, so you mean to tell me that you think Predators is good? I think it is, and I think it always has been. It's kind of like, like, and so Predators gets shit on a lot, and The Predator just got fucking hammered, and that one's like a little more like arguable at least because it's doing a lot of weird things and changing some of the lore. But like still like the franchise has only gotten like good to okay movies, and yet everything after the first Predator just gets shit on, and I don't understand what people want from this franchise, because literally just here's a premise for a movie and then there's Predators is so fucking good. Predators, it's a survivalist horror film, and the Predators are the problem. It's just, that's all it is. It's fucking Gilligan's Island, but a Predator shows up.
My controversial hot take opening up this episode is Predator 2 is better than Aliens.
Yeah.
Because Aliens is fine. It's okay. It's a alien fight in space, but like, yeah, bringing Ripley back didn't really work for me. I feel like a lot of it does kind of feel dated and boring 80s action movie kind of. And I think James Cameron has just done like better movies, even as sequels over time. But nothing about Aliens feels iconic or sticks with me as much as the first Alien does, or even some of the later Alien movies do.
Wow.
Predator 2, on the other hand, it's a fucking cartoon romp of a movie. And like, I feel like you can't watch Predator 2 and not just kind of have fun and be engaged with it. Versus sometimes with the Alien movies, they kind of feel like homework.
Yeah.
Like, I like Alien. I think Alien's a great movie, and it's really interesting to like write about and think about, but like, kind of homework. It's a, I have to be in a film mood to watch Alien. And I have to be in like a weird historical mood to appreciate Aliens. And I don't know what the fuck was going on with Alien 3, but I'm
okay,
sure
let
there's
me
a
tell
lot
you
of
what's gonna
adjustments.
happen. Let me tell you what's gonna happen. You just mentioned Alien 3. So now in the comments of this video, one of my subscribers is gonna go and post a fucking essay about how Alien 3 is actually a good misunderstood film. That's what's gonna happen right now.
If that's what someone wants to tell themselves, I will support that, because I do that all the time with bad movies. But as far as I'm concerned, Alien 3 just does not add up. It does not compute, and I don't know what David Fincher wanted to do with that one. And then Alien 4, Alien Resurrection, is a failed Joss Whedon movie, so I love it. But Predator, no, you're right. Predator, on the other hand, I think has a much better track record. Like Predator is a fun movie, Predator 2 is a fun movie, Predators is a fun movie, The Predator is a fun movie, and Prey is fucking great.
Oh,
So,
have you changed your mind on the Predator?
I mean, I didn't dislike it before. I just thought it wasn't as good as the others.
I thought you said you hadn't watched it because of like all the behind the scenes stuff.
Oh no! That was before we recorded the episode on Prey. But if you remember, like the couple days after we did Prey, I just watched all the Predator movies back to back to back.
Oh, okay.
So I watched the Predator and Predators that day too, and I liked the Predator. I thought it was okay.
Uh-huh.
It's probably my least favorite Shane Black movie, to be honest. It's probably my least favorite Predator movie, but I didn't dislike it. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I honestly think Predator as a franchise has not had, like, a truly bad movie, and the closest it does is because the aliens got involved. You know, like,
Oh, yeah.
just 100%. That's the only problem. Like, the aliens came in and kind of ruined Predator's greatness.
And there's something about, like, the heavy mythologizing of the Alien franchise that I just kind of can't get into. And they do a lot more world building in Predator 2 than they do in Predator 1, and you get more of a sense of like what they're trying to do and the search for their hunt, and you get their big spaceship reveal at the end. And all that stuff's fine, but like I feel like Predator still kind of has a sense of humor about itself. Like the scene where what's his face? Danny Glover is saying like you're one ugly, and then the Predator's just like motherfucker. Like that's objectively funny.
That's great.
There's nothing about that. There's so much stuff with the Predator here where I'm like, clearly someone was just like, it would be fucking hilarious if the Predator said this, and I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. I don't think they're the scene where he's like mowing down the gangsters in the subway, and then he's like, "Would you like candy?" is meant to be scary. I think it's fucking hilarious.
Do you want some candy? You want a piece of candy? Yeah, no, it's so fucking good. Because I don't know, this is an interesting one because you and I talked a little bit about this like lore wise during the Prey review, but now that you've seen the Predator, right? So the fan base doesn't like that movie because of this conception that the Predators are like these honor-bound warrior people, right? And I'm like, that is just straight up nothing but a misinterpretation because they're always dicks. Like in this, I think a lot of it comes from Predator 2 because particularly you just mentioned the subway scene, right? Where we're like, oh yeah, he killed everyone on the subway that had a gun, but he also like spared the woman because she was pregnant, so he's got like a code of honor. I'm like, yeah, but he also just like fucking ambushed a bunch of people with guns to have an excuse to kill a bunch of people. Like, none of those people were its fucking prey. It just fucking like came in guns blazing to fuck their shit up.
The other thing about the Predator, because I don't really get the code of honor thing, having watched all of them now like back to back, because
I think a lot of it comes from the comics, in all fairness, but yes.
You're probably right. I haven't read a ton of Predator comics really, so I have no idea what they get into. But the thing about the Predators versus the aliens again is that the aliens are kind of a hive mind, and so you could say like one behavior from one xenomorph kind of carries over to the rest of the xenomorphs, and that tracks. But there's nothing about the Predators that says that they have a functioning society, nor is there anything about the Predators that say like they all get along or they all do this the same way. Like, as far as I'm concerned, the idea of the Predator is all they want to do is they're fucking Saiyans. They want a strong battle. So they just plop onto a planet or a time period or a society and start fucking shit up to find something interesting. But there's nothing about that like necessitates them being honor bound, or like just because one Predator is honorable, another one has to be. Like I don't get that. It doesn't feel like an expectation on their part. And they never communicate that as being part of their society in any of the movies. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't feel like a retcon to me. It really just feels like Predators will do whatever they want to do. And even just the conceit at its very core of this technologically advanced alien is going to plop on a planet and then just go through the food chain and start killing shit. It's kind of a dick move.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing about that that's like, and then at the end of it, it's okay because I have a code of honor. Because, like, fuck your honor. You're literally just going around murdering people because you think it's fun.
Yeah, no.
Like, there's really nothing about that requires any more thought.
100%. No, they are assholes, and I love them for it, right? Like, it's the most entertaining part. They just fuck shit up, like, royally, and it's so cool.
Predators are problematic. That's why they're fun.
I know. Like, I can't get enough of them, because just the fact that they just show up and it just takes out the whole fucking gang at the beginning of the movie, and then just...
That's hype.
Like, one by one picks off every member of Mike's crew, Danny Glover's crew, detectives and stuff, like his crew. Danny boy, fucking just fucks his shit up and pisses him off and, like, baits him. The scene in the fucking cemetery is, like, the dirtiest shit, right? Where he's just, he's going to his partner's tombstone to pay his respects, and then as he's leaving, here's his fucking necklace, you little bitch. Like, it's just so fucking mean.
Dude, the coldest transition I have ever seen in a movie is, like, when Danny Glover's talking to King Willie, and he's like, I know where he is. And then he pulls out his fucking samurai sword, and the Predator shows up, and you see him getting ready to scream, and then the camera pans out, and he's got his head chopped off.
It's so good.
It goes so hard. I love it.
Dude, King Willie, like, absolutely steals the fucking show. Like, name a character who has one fucking scene of screen time and becomes so iconic in a fucking movie. Like...
See, this is the thing you youngins don't understand, is that we didn't need memes. We had character actors who were in movies for like 2 minutes and were the funniest things you have ever seen in your life. I don't need your fucking Willem Dafoe, I'm something of a scientist myself. I've got movies for that.
Yeah, no, it's so fucking good. He's just like it's a common man. I could listen to this dude read the fucking dictionary, man. He's so good.
I love that bit. And then, like, everyone in this movie, like, the entire cast is just, like, hamming it up, and so it just makes all of it inherently better. Gary Busey as, like, the DEA agent, he just, like, shows up and starts barking orders like it's a fucking Die Hard movie. I love it so much.
No, Gary Busey is, like, this was when Gary Busey wasn't just a fucking raving lunatic of a person, and so it's just kind
Correct.
It's kind of funny to just see him, like, doing his thing and like, yes, I was famous for other reasons once upon a time.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things about this where I feel like everyone involved, like, truly understood what the assignment here was. The assignment here was not to revolutionize sci-fi or to revolutionize an action movie. It was to make a cheesy action movie, and then a Predator shows up, and everything about the Predator showing up and fucking that shit up and kind of changing the tone of the movie really works for it. Like, every one of those escalating action scenes, from, like, the Predator fucking shit up in the warehouse and then on the train, building all the way to getting into the spaceship, I feel like all of that really works. And it doesn't feel like the movie's taking a weird left turn at the end when he's inside the Predator ship and he gets hit by the net, but oh, now he's got a Predator saw and they're going at it in the ship and the Predator's covered in green blood and everything. Like, in any other movie, I feel like you could say that sounds like complete massive left turn. But this one kind of gets you there so well, and it never feels like it's breaking that tone. From the first shot of the movie, when you're, like, going out from all of the trees in the woods into the skyscrapers of LA, and you get, like, that super heavy-handed visual metaphor of, like, okay, the Predator used to be in the jungle, but now we're in the concrete jungle, baby. All of it just fucking works for me.
It's so good. Like, it's such a good, like, subversion kind of opening and stuff. I don't know, man. Just the fact that people shit on this movie and act like it's so lesser and it just, like, needed to depend on like, the tropes or the like more what's the word here, the more lackluster tools of horror filmmaking. Like, I remember I was talking to a guy who he was such a Predator fan that he could do like the clicky sound.
Oh, that's cool.
I was talking to him one time, I'm like, so Predator 2, and he goes, I fucking hate that movie. I'm like, why? He goes, just that, like, the scene with the chick with her boobs out just feels so hackney. I'm like, what are you talking? It's like I forgot that was in the movie. I'm like, paying attention to other shit, I guess. I don't know. It's just so, like, non-consequential, and just that people latch onto the strangest things to hate about this movie. Oh, the acting's so hammy. Did you watch the first movie? Oh, this will make a sexual tyrannosaurus.
I mean, the first movie has got like the most cartoonish handshake of all time. Like,
Dutch.
It's not like
you
we were in
son
some
of a bitch.
kind of prestigious set.
Dutch.
There is
son of
a
a
weird
bitch.
sort of like. There is a sort of weirdness with some of these movies like this that people kind of like eulogize parts of a franchise retroactively in a way that I think does not really fit with what it was when it came out. I think Hellraiser really has this, because you and I have talked about the first two Hellraiser movies, and like the new one just came out, and everyone's like, oh, this is the best Hellraiser movie since the first one, and like that's not saying much, man. First Hellraiser's kind of shit, and I think Predators is a similar thing where people, when Prey were coming out, were like, oh, this is the best Predator movie since the first one. I'm like, I don't know, man. Have you seen any other Predator movie? They're all like this.
Yeah.
Prey is a great movie, but it's a great movie in the exact same ways all of the Predator movies are.
I just want to thank the creator of Predator, whose name I do not know, for giving us like the greatest cinematic franchise. Like, just objectively, the fact that Predator
Honestly,
does not have a bad movie to its name is something.
If we were to rank like top 10 greatest movie villains of all time, I'm sure we could come up with a pretty extensive list of like the iconics and classic characters, like fucking what's his face, like fucking dude from Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, or Darth Vader or whatever. The Predator's kind of up there.
Dude.
Like, it's such a good idea. It's such an iconic design. It's so consistently fun to watch. And there's so much fun quality between seeing the different Predator designs and the way they interact in different fight scenes. Like, the way Predator went from that sort of urban jungle warfare action scenes in the first one to all of the insane 90s action scenes in the second one, all the way to like even some of the shaky cam shit they do in The Predator, or even some of the shaky cam shit they do in AVP Requiem. Like, it's interesting how you can just take this one weird designed character, put him across all of these genres, and it always feels cool.
Yeah. I fucking love that Danny Glover gets to make the fucking joke, because Arnold gets like the iconic, like, this is the line for the franchise, you are one ugly motherfucker. And they do it again here, but they kind of like, they play with it, they have the Predator finish it, yada yada. That's all great. The fact that Danny Glover gets to just the ultimate insult, and it's so accurate and sticks so well. Shut the fuck up, pussyface.
Something I did not know immediately until I had to look it up is that the Predator in the first one is voiced by Peter Cullen, which is really fucking cool. But I did not know he was replaced for this one. I legitimately could not tell that was a different person.
I mean, the Predator doesn't really, like, talk much, so I don't know why you would think it would be the same person, or you'd be able to tell.
Well, I mean, it's weird. Like, it seems like it should be a big deal that the Predator in the first one was voiced by Peter Cullen, but it seems like it effectively doesn't matter because the voice is kind of just so generic.
I mean, he doesn't, like, really talk. He like, makes the sounds and he laughs once, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm not surprised that the Predator 2 just gets someone else. It's as long as you can do the mouth clickies, that's really all you need.
I saw, like, I was trying to do at least like a cursory amount of research on some of these movies before we started talking about it, because I wanted to see like why everyone hated this one.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I could find is people would say shit like it's mindless and dumb, and I'm like, yeah, that's why it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Mindless and dumb. I don't know what you want.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. Like, they're all good movies. And this one's probably my favorite because it's like, it does such a good job of just being like a lore dump of a movie without just feeling like every scene is the scene in the van with Gary Busey. You know, like that's the one where it's probably the most like hackney and like typical, but it comes so late in the movie that you're not exhausted by it, you know? You're like already intrigued, and it just does such a good job of like giving you all this information about him, about the species throughout the entire runtime, you know? It's so good.
Well, what's good about that is that the Predator's not really in this movie very much, at least not in a way where you can see him. So like he's in camouflage for a lot of it, and he's murdering a lot of the gangs throughout, and you see some of the action scenes. But even in like some of the early stuff in the first half, you're not like watching the Predator go through and mow people down. You're like more so watching people's reactions to getting mowed down or finding the cops afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time you get to the scene with Gary Busey in the van, and they're like explaining what's going on, and fucking Alec Baldwin, or is that his name? Is it Alec Baldwin? Yeah. Or Adam Baldwin shows up out of fucking nowhere to play generic military dude like he does in every movie. By the time they're giving you that explanation, it doesn't even really feel like a lore dump to me as much as it's just like, okay, we're finally getting some answers to the thing that's been running around in this movie for an hour and 20 minutes that we've still kind of hardly seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. And then when you do see him, like when you finally get like the camouflage is broken and now it's just around in that final climax of the movie, holy shit, what a fucking climax. Like, objectively better fight, you know, than what Arnold gets, right? Like, Arnold sets his fucking traps, and then they come down to the point where it's like a swing out, and he's trying to fuck with the thing and get it cornered.
Yeah.
Whereas Danny Glover gets to go fucking scrapping with this thing for like an extended amount of time.
No, the one in Predator 2 is like legitimately a final fight scene.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Like they're actually going at it. It's pretty fucking dope.
And what I like about it is they're actually going at it, but you still believe that Danny Glover's on the back foot the entire fucking time. You know? He gets every possible advantage against this thing. There's so much that goes in his favor throughout this fight, and he is still on the back foot the whole time, and it's fantastic. You know?
I mean, and so much of that is just like you can really tell like Danny Glover is just selling being in this movie, and he's enjoying being in this movie. And when you open up the way you do with this, where like you've got like the most insane like gangland exaggerated shootout I think I have ever seen in a movie, where like it's not just like a cop shootout in the middle of the street. This is a fucking war zone for about 4 or 5 minutes, and like you see Danny Glover in that moment where like he's literally just like boss Chad energy trying to mow through these drug dealers and running on fucking rooftops and yelling at his superiors and cursing off the DEA and shit. Like, he feels like a badass within the first 10 minutes or so, but he's always up against shit that is bigger than him. Like, no matter how cool he is early on, he can't track down the drug ring. The case is about to be taken away from him. He's always feeling like he's exhausted and burnt out. And then the Predator just mows down everyone in a way that makes him feel completely ineffective. And then by the end, when they're kind of going at it, and Danny Glover has all of the advantages going for him, you still kind of carry that feeling of like, this is a dude that has never been able to catch a break, going toe to toe with the deadliest killer in the entire universe. And it works for me. Like, it really feels like they're smart about what Danny Glover can do to make himself look like a badass, without ever undercutting how much more difficult it is to fight a Predator.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, it's great because it doesn't make the Predator look dumb. You know, like so often you have that in a horror movie where like the way they end up beating the villain is some kind of thing where it's like, oh, come the fuck. Really, it's gotten through all this and now this is the thing that killed it. Really? I can't think of a great example off the top of my head, but it's just I've definitely like felt that reaction while watching a movie before, a horror movie before.
Halloween Resurrection, where Michael Myers has been shot with a shotgun, mowed down by a series of towns, thrown off of a building, fallen off of a cliff, been shot off of a cliff throughout all of these movies, and then he dies in Resurrections by getting sidekicked by Busta Rhymes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example. Like they don't make it look dumb or weak or anything. It's still just doing its fucking best, and like it's kind of ready to call it, you know, not early on, but after a good while into this fight, it's like, all right, fuck this, I'm done with it, and it tries to do the self-destruct shit. Happens. Fucking tries to do the self-destruct thing for the first movie, and it just seems like, oh shit, things are going wrong. And then fucking Danny Glover cuts his fucking arm off. It's so cool. It is insanely cool.
There's just like, and we talked about this with the Prey review too. There's something about like an entire group of people coming together to just make a dumb, fun movie where that energy is just kind of infectious and it makes it work for you no matter what. And I think this movie definitely feels like kind of the epitome of that concept, where I don't know like how much of a fan base the Predator franchise had before it was a franchise. Like we know that the first one obviously did really well, but like I don't know what the cultural zeitgeist was between like that movie coming out and this one getting made. But this movie really feels like it was made by a bunch of people who saw Predator and were like, this is the coolest idea for a movie ever, and decided to just smash their toys together.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's interesting because like the first Predator is 86?
87.
87.
So this is only 3 years after.
This is a pretty quick fucking sequel, and it's funny because like I remember hearing about this where there's a book that came out shortly after the first movie called Predator: Concrete Jungle. Not related at all to the Grant Morrison video game, but and it's like a very similar premise. So like this idea of, okay, Predator sequel, but it's set in a city, and you know, you get the idea of a concrete jungle. Was around, and the funny thing is that was the protagonist of that film, or of that book, was Dutch's brother, who was a cop, and it's just
hilarious. They might have just straight up adapted parts of it. That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never like felt the need to read it, but it is pretty hilarious. I think it's set in New York and not in L.A. But I like the LA thing, the fact that they keep the heat, you know? Like that's just such a cool fucking like lore drop, right? Is the heat brings them out, you know? Like
There's something really cool about whenever you make the weather a part of the story like that. Like Dark Knight Returns kind of does this too, where like Gotham's in the middle of like a record heat wave and crime is up and everyone's angry and everything sucks, and then Batman shows up and the heat wave dissipates and there's just a fucking thunderstorm because now Batman is raining down on them. Like that kind of stuff I'm always kind of a sucker for, and it's cool here because it's so exaggerated. Like when you get to the police station in the opening and you meet like his new partner, who's basically like never in the movie really. I don't know what his deal is. But he that dude shows up and he's like talking up the female cop and everything. And you see Danny Glover like change shirts and his partner's got like this giant sweat stain on his back. But the dude, the partner that's talking up the girl, not only is he sweating through his shirt, He is sweating through his shirt, through his blazer that is twice the size of him. It's so ridiculous. And it's trying to sell the concrete jungle and heat vibe so hard. It just makes it kind of unintentionally funny, and I love it. And the idea that you're just going through like this insanely humid day in LA, going through and fighting a predator, it does kind of carry over that same sort of jungle anxiety that the first one had. But it feels a lot cooler. It feels a lot more creative because you are in the middle of a city and it's a very different animal. Like you kind of expect to be covered in sweat and disgusting in the jungle, but having that like in the middle of a city where like there's just drug wars going on and there's traffic everywhere and bullets are flying and the predators in the fucking subway. Something about that just hits harder, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. No, it does, and it creates such a cool dynamic because you just get like more things to play with in making that choice. Like, you know the scene that I forgot that's just, it's so fucking like obvious and dumb, and it shouldn't be as good as it is, but it's just like this little moment, no dialogue, no nothing, just pure camera shot. So when Danny Glover's walking around and he walks in front of a fucking taxidermy shop window and he sees his reflection in all the trophies. It's so good.
It looks really fucking cool. And then there's an actual xenomorph head on the Predator trophies, which is pretty funny.
Every time I see that, I'm just like hit with this double reaction of, God, that is so cool. And then the fact that it was like 14 more years before they met on film, and that one was just okay, is also really funny. But then the other thing that always like gets me about that is just it's a xenomorph. They have an exoskeleton. The skull shouldn't be white.
I mean, that's a fair point.
It's just so funny to me. Like every time I see it, I kind of giggle a little bit. I was corrected also about that trophy wall. For the longest time, I thought it was a T-Rex skull off to the left corner, and it is not. It's got like some kind of jowl bones, so I guess it's like a predator T-Rex or something, some kind of alien monster. It's not a T-Rex skull. My bad.
So, I will take another sequel in this franchise, and I'll even let Chris Pratt star in it if you give me Jurassic Park, but then a predator shows up.
I mean, like, if I were the fucking who's got the predator rights now? Is it Disney?
It is. It is Disney. Disney has Alien and Predator right now, I think.
Yeah, because they bought Fox. If I was the rights holder of Predator, I'd be like, fucking crossovers. When's Predator gonna show up in the MCU? This fucking Iron Man movie, but then Predator shows up. You know? Like, let's go.
Well, it's funny because when Marvel got the license to publish Alien comics, a lot of people were upset because they thought eventually it was only going to be a matter of time before the Alien started becoming part of MCU lore. And it hasn't happened yet, but there is like precedent for it happening eventually because they got the Conan license and everyone was worried that was going to happen. And now Conan's on the Avengers, so...
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, he's on the Savage Avengers, but still.
Yeah, Savage Avengers was a good book for the first, like, 5 issues, and then it did the Marvel thing.
The new run has about 5 issues out, and it's pretty good so far.
Well, let me know when it's got 10 issues that are good. How's that?
I mean, that's fair. I'll have to DM the writer and be like, yo, I'm going to need you to prove my friend wrong. Real quick though, I want to ask you, how do you feel about in the pantheon of predators? How do you feel about the City Hunter?
I like him. Like he's a son of a bitch. Again, I think he's kind of responsible for everyone thinking that they're. I guess not just him. It's probably like the chieftain or king predator, whatever you want to call him, that shows up at the end. That's probably part of it too. But he's a bastard. He's just like I love the voice change. Or the voice recorder thing. That is their biggest, like, these are just fucking bullies tool, you know? Literally every time they use the voice thing, it's literally like Steve, say something mean to me. Say something mean.
You're bad at building Legos.
You're bad at building Legos. That's all it is. It is 100% what the voice thing is.
I'm sorry, that was too mean.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. You should apologize because you're wrong.
No, I am wrong. You rock at building Legos. But no, you were right.
Like
yeah, no, the
voice change.
The voice changer thing is really cool.
It's just cool how he uses it. You know, he's just mean. He's just a bastard. I think the thing that I find funniest about the City Hunter is he is 100% focused on Danny Glover. That's his prize, right? That's the one he's fucking with. I love how Gary Busey's character just keeps like inserting himself into the path of the City Hunter, and he just could not give a fuck about Gary Busey and is 100% focused on Danny Glover, and like seems actively annoyed when Gary Busey keeps showing up in that final fight. It's great.
The storytelling with why the Predator is so obsessed with Danny Glover, I feel like, is also pretty good. Like it's not groundbreaking or anything, but like it's smart about it. Where like you see the Predator in his camouflage, watching the street fight. You see him track Danny Glover up the walls. You see him like look at his massively oversized gun with all of the attachments to it, and he kind of seems to just sort of conveniently walk into whatever situation Danny Glover is in that happens to make Danny Glover look like a badass. So you do kind of get the sense as like an audience member that like Danny Glover is in over his head, but from the Predator's perspective, this man is a mastermind, and so he is clearly the strongest person on this planet to kill, which I think is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm. No, it's great. I fucking love it. Steve, we gotta play. We gotta like find a way to get you to play Concrete Jungle.
What system is it on?
It was on PS2, but there's got to be an emulator with it at this point in time. Someone has to have done it.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure I could also just like, because I've been meaning to get a PS2 back at some point and just play all those fucking classic games again.
Yeah.
Because PS2 is the greatest system of all time.
It is. It's funny how like it's also a precursor to the Batman Arkham games because you can do like the different visions that the Predator has. Oh, that's another
that's fucking tight.
There's another fucking cool ass lore thing in this when it's like switching through the different vision modes and stuff to track Gary Busey's men in the warehouse. It's so fucking cool.
It looks cool as shit, and it's surprising just how much Predator shit comes from only this movie.
Mm-hmm. This movie is the biggest lore dump. I will say the thing that I am most just like horrendously disappointed by, because I like the Predator, but even it doesn't take from this. This movie has the coolest fucking spaceship for the Predator. Like, I love the set design for that spaceship, and nothing in the films ever does it again. Every time we see a Predator spaceship in the films, it's always like really super advanced, like sleek sci-fi typical bullshit, and I hate it. I don't know why we lost that.
The thing about the Predator ship in this one that I really appreciated was like it didn't try to replicate the H.R. Geiger alien style of like weird body horror mechanisms in all of the ships. It tried to go for the same sort of thing in spirit where it still kind of felt organic, but instead of making it all feel cold and black, they actually gave it like that blaring orange yellow hue to it, so everything looked really off-worldy. It feels a lot more like a Klingon ship than anything.
Yeah, it does. It feels like just this. It feels like you've walked into like a cave, right? Like with the paintings on the wall and like the fire glowing to light up everything, and it's just like you've just walked into like the den of a predator, you know, and they just like. It's like they took their living habitations and just strapped rockets to them. And it's the other cool thing about these. It's like they're not idiots, right? Like they clearly understand how to use and manufacture and like operate all of their technology. But I like that the technology just all seems like in service to the one thing. Like their entire society, either they built this technology just to get better at hunting, or they just like stole it from other people, but like because it made them better at hunting, they took a lot of care to figure out how it works, you know? I fucking love the way that that's implied here.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it feels like the Predators are just kind of Saiyans. They're dumbasses in a lot of ways, but the one thing they know and the one thing they want is they just want to fight strong shit. So they'll do anything they have to on any level to get the opportunity to fight strong shit, which includes building better weapons and finding a spaceship. And yeah, the Predators are not like dumb in this, but I do kind of feel like the City Hunter Predator is kind of a moron in the best way possible, because he does kind of seem like he's pretty aimless, all things considered, and it feels like he, by the end of it, he's trying to kill Danny Glover for that pure petty energy. Not necessarily because he was bested, but because he was just so much of a moron to let himself get bested by Danny Glover. I do kind of dig that. I like that this is a Predator that kind of feels like he has some snark to him.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, that's fair. Again, they're petty. They're fucking like, no, it doesn't count, bro. Doesn't count because I fucking blew myself up. Ha ha ha. I'm the real winner.
Yeah, I mean, this Predator, more than any, I feel like, is petty compared to all the rest. Because, like, the Super Predators feel more akin to that honor system thing that people want. And the Predator in the first one, he's kind of just... He's kind of just a force of nature. He doesn't really have, like, his own personality. And then you get to the one in Prey, and that one seems a lot more like methodically working himself up the food chain. And this one just kind of feels like a teenager on vacation in LA trying to kill shit.
I have heard people say this is like a unblooded or just like a less experienced hunter, and that's why it's just so like intent on murdering the shit out of everybody, as opposed to like being more razor focused. But I don't know, it's cool. That's all I know.
I mean, I dig that idea. I mean, I like the idea that this is just kind of a no holds bar, has no idea what the fuck he's doing kind of Predator, because that feels like it makes him a little more dangerous almost.
I don't know. It's fucking cool. It's fucking cool shit.
No, I mean, I'm surprised by how much fun this movie is, and I'm even more surprised by how much fun it is to watch more than once.
Yeah.
Because you would think that this would kind of like lose its welcome after a while, but no, it's just fucking fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you watched it like pretty, not back to back, but pretty well after each other. This has been a couple years since I watched it, and just because like this is a movie that I've seen a number of times, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something fun, because fucking people in the Discord were talking shit about horror movies. Like, I can't stand horror movies. All horror movies are terrible. I can't do it. I can't watch horror. I'm like, a bunch of fucking pansies. And so I just did a live watch, commentary stream with just a couple people from the Discord. I'm like, let's just fucking watch this movie and just talk during it. And like, and it's a fun movie to watch in that way, too, you know? You don't really... Like, there's times you make a little bit of fun of it, but... I don't know, you're just kind of with it and just kind of vibing the whole time. It's so good.
And this is definitely the Predator movie that I think was on TV the most growing up. Because when I did watch it for the first time, there was a handful of scenes I recognized just kind of sporadically watching whenever I like turned on TNT or AMC or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if there's more people who are familiar with it from that perspective. Because I feel like the first Predator movie is like never on TV. And none of the sequels except AVP end up on TV. So this one has a lot of like a handful of scenes that just feel very, very familiar. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's part of the fun of watching it, is like it does kind of feel like a movie that I would have rented from Blockbuster as a kid.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fucking good. It's a fucking good ass movie. I like this movie. It's a fun one. It's just, there's so much cool shit. Like every like 2-3 minutes, like, oh, that's fucking, I like that. That's cool. That's a good scene. Oh.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good ass movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're at about the hour mark, and I don't know if we have much else to talk about with this one, unless you got anything else you wanted to make sure we brought up.
I think we kind of got through everything that was on my list. I guess my big thing was just unpacking. I didn't understand the hate for this movie, and I feel like the answer is just people don't have taste.
People don't have taste. People didn't pay attention to what they were watching.
This, yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how you watch this movie and you're not instantly just like, oh yeah, this is goofy as shit, and I love it. Like, there's not a lot more going on than that.
For real. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. Fucking Danny Glover's too old for this shit.
Love it, love it. I definitely like it more than the first one. I think I like it more than Predators, and it's definitely better than The Predator. But I think Prey is still my favorite out of all of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I need to watch Prey again before I do like a proper ranking. But I'm gonna wait till I can, find it in the store somewhere.
Yeah, I think I would go Prey, Predator 2, Predator, Predators, The Predator.
I'm surprised Predators ends up that low for you, because I quite like that one.
No, I like Predators a lot too. I mean, it kind of goes back to what you're saying. Is like none of the movies are bad. So like
They have to
ranking
end up
them feels-
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, they all have to end up somewhere. I don't think any of them like outclasses any other, with maybe the exception of Prey, which I think is kind of far and away the best, but not for reasons that are mutually exclusive to any of the others.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that'll do it. We'll go ahead and go on to ratings for this one. Steve, what would you rate Predator 2?
I'm gonna give this 5 out of 5 decapitated screaming big willies.
Nice. Since you did a big willy thing, I won't do the one I was going to do, which was the chicken bones.
Or a king willy, sorry.
King willy, yeah. For me, I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5. I've got to kill your soul, man.
He's so good.
It's also fucking good. Alrighty.
Oh, I love it.
Well, let's see here. I picked this. Alfie picked Carnage USA. Did you picked our movie before that? Yeah.
Yeah, I picked Black Phone before that. So, and Matt's not here, so I guess is it back to me?
Yeah, it's back to you for. Is this our final horror film? No, we got one more after that. So yeah, it's back to you for another horror movie discussion. Or it doesn't have to be a movie if you want to do something else.
Well, I mean, something horror related. Okay, so we're doing this, and then you're saying you have a discussion, so we're gonna double up on it.
Yeah, next week we'll double up. Well, no, not next week. Hold on. So this episode goes on the 23rd. Yeah, next week we'll double up. So we'll do a review and a discussion next week.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Let's see. There's just so many fucking horror movies where I'm like, everyone should watch this and everyone should watch that, and I'm trying to think of one where, if we don't get a chance to ever do another horror movie again, what's the one that I would pick for us to talk about?
Oh no, are you planning on leaving?
No, I'm just trying to think of a horror movie where I'm like, I want to make sure we talk about this year in case we don't get the chance to talk about it later, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do. Fuck, you know what? You know what would be really fun is let's go back and do a classic horror movie, like a classic monster movie in the same vein as this. Let's do The Horror of Dracula.
The Horror of Dracula. I don't think I've even heard of this one.
That's
a Hammer horror movie?
It's the first Christopher Lee Dracula movie.
Oh, okay.
It was just called Dracula basically everywhere, and I think it was called Horror of Dracula in the U.S. But it's like the first reboot of those classic
30s
Hammer horror
movies. Okay.
Yeah, so just for viewers at home, it's called Dracula basically everywhere, and it's called Horror of Dracula in the U.S., but it's the Dracula movie from 1958 starring Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing.
Yeah, Peter Cushing and Michael Gough is in this. Wow.
Yeah, no, it's stacked. And what's his face? Peter Cushing ended up in like most of this era of horror movies. There's a bunch of other.
Yes,
Dracula
this is the
movies
first
from this era.
Hammer horror. This is Hammer Dracula then. Okay.
Yeah. So this should be that era. And I don't know. I think it's still streaming on HBO Max. I don't know if it's anywhere else.
I've got HBO Max thanks to Beeve Staxy, my close associate.
Yeah, so you should be able to watch it on there. I've not seen most of the ones in this chronology, but a decent number of them I think are on HBO Max if you ever wanted to do a binge.
Oh, okay. Thanks. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
everyone, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I am searching for a sign-off.
And we are your ghouly gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.
Ha 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 ha!